We're sitting with Selectman Will Rodgers, who has some specific messages for various groups in town regarding the upcoming June 26th, fourth round budget referendum. Mr. Rodgers?
Thanks. Thanks first to the Beat for the opportunity to make this pitch, and make no mistake, it'll be a pitch. I'd basically like to direct my comments to four groups: to non-voters, to those who would like to see more education money restored, to those who would like to see more overall reduction to the budget, and finally general messages to everybody in the process. The first group is non-voters, and I realize we're at something of a paradox here because perhaps those people not interested enough to vote might not be interested enough to see this message. And to that end, I would just appeal to the usual suspects, so to speak, the participants in the process, to reach out and touch those who aren't as active in the process. You have to get involved here, non-voters. We are essentially at an impasse. We have a small group of folks who seem unable to reach a compromise, and basically less than a third of the town is deciding the town's future. It's always been a source of political bemusement to me that there seems to be an inverse relationship between how much a vote can affect somebody personally and how likely they then are to vote. There are historically much higher turnouts for presidential elections than for local budget referenda. I mean, something that is directly affecting your bottom line. I would really urge anyone who has not participated in the process thus far to get out and vote. You'll be doing the town a great service. Whatever feeling, whatever position you have, the time has come, because we really are, unfortunately, potentially at a real stalemate here. My next message is for the faction that would like to see further monies restored to the school budget. Compromise. There have been monies restored to the school budget, and it is frankly an anomaly that that happens. Make no mistake, the general trend will remain, and that is that when a budget is defeated, in general, it's going to go down, at least until possibly we have advisory questions in place. Refer back to my point about participating in the process. We proposed those, and we didn't get an adequate turnout for them to take effect under our charter a couple of years ago. I don't think it was as far as several. But please, as this goes on, the danger is that the traditional no voters are getting empowered, and you are not going to see a meaningful restoration to the education budget when it's placed in the larger long-term context. The other thing I would say to the education supporters, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What you also have to do is participate in the process by which the Board of Ed applies any reductions that they have to deal with. Again, it's a source of political bemusement to me that we will go through wrangling over a huge education budget, and then when it's passed, the Board of Ed essentially, without input, gets to apply those cuts in a low-key fashion, or frankly restorations. It's inconceivable that there aren't ways to shift priorities to programs that people are concerned about with the size of the education budget. We know that there was a very, a very inflammatory proposal at the start regarding full-day kindergarten, which has probably skewed some of the voter outcomes to this point in time. That's an example of something that can be addressed with the Board of Ed directly as they apply and distribute whatever budgetary funds they receive. My next message is, as you might imagine, the same one, essentially, to the other camp, those who would like to see the overall budget reduced further. You need to compromise. The referenda process is not designed for fine-tuning a budget. It's designed for trending. We have, for some time, been in concert with what you desire for trending, which is lowering budgets. The danger is you're going to cut off your nose to spite your face. Any additional budgetary reductions now, I can pretty much guarantee, are going to be offset over not even the long term, but the medium term, in terms of increased bonding costs as our bond rating gets lowered because of multiple referenda, increased costs of the referenda themselves, and indirect increased costs regarding a variety of town workers spending time on this that could be better directed to other activities and will eventually cost extra to be addressing after the fact. If you think of your own budget, there are some forces more or less beyond your control, and therefore there is usually going to be some areas of the budget that are going to rise. Yes, is the town ultimately responsible for them and in control of them? Yes, it is, but we all know we're all ultimately in control of our costs, but yet there are things that we're faced with little choice about. That's what the town has. So compromise, please. The last thing is a couple of messages to everybody. First of all, I would like to set aside the conspiracy theorists who have thought that monies that recently became available were being hidden, that there's some fluff, that there's some gamesmanship to the process. I can assure you that at least on the Board of Selectmen side, that isn't true. And it's just not a healthy place to go, to default to there is an ulterior motive, improper motives, unethical behavior, as opposed to things happen, it's a large budget, there has been a change in financial directors relatively recently, significant financial reforms, or something just got, to me it's not a stretch to think that you were shifting money from one fund to another, that some of it was dedicated and some of it was not, and there was not the realization as time passed that the remaining money wasn't dedicated. That's not a hard stretch for me in a plus $100 million budget. I would like everybody to compromise, everybody to realize their message has been heard, they've achieved something, and get out there and support this budget, because we will have great logistical problems with the town if it does not pass this time around.